The New York Giants beat the Minnesota Vikings 31-24. I had the Minnesota Vikings winning this game. I wasn't surprised that the Giants won. I was surprised at the fact that the Giants coaching staff outcoached the Minnesota Vikings the way that they did. I was expecting a little bit more from Kevin O Connell and this staff. I mean, I wasn't expecting just a complete all-around turnaround. At the end of the day, when you get to the playoffs, you are what you are at this point. So if your defense has been trash all year, 9 times out of 10, you get to the playoffs, your defense is still going to be all that trash. However, Kevin O'Connell said during the week that they were going to do some different things, and I was kind of hoping that those different things would work. But it turns out those different things didn't do diddly squat. And if anything, this defense looked as bad as what they've looked all year. I mean, Patrick Peterson, I understand he's up there in age, but damn, fam, you getting cooked by Isaiah Hodgins again? Isaiah Hodgins, it's not like this dude is one of the best receivers in the game. It's not like we know who this guy is. This guy kind of came out of nowhere over the last couple of weeks. And I found out about him in the Giants' last game when he was cooking up Patrick Peterson. So to see Patrick Peterson getting cooked again was really disappointing. Because at this point, you look at Minnesota and you're like, damn, your best cornerback can't guard nobody. You can't really get off the field. The New York Giants only punted 2 times in this game. 2 times. Like, the Minnesota Vikings defense was as bad as advertised. You couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. Your cornerbacks were getting cooked all game. And we have to give a lot of credit to Daniel Jones, okay? Daniel Jones deserves to get paid after the season ends. When you have this kind of performance in the playoff game of this magnitude, it's not a fluke. You're a good quarterback. Daniel Jones, it's time to start giving the man his flowers. He's legit. He may not be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Hell, he may not ever become one of the best QBs in the league. But one thing that Daniel Jones has done all season long has show up and been consistent for the New York Giants all season long. 24-35 for 301 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 17 carries for 78 rushing yards. Like, Daniel Jones on the low, outside of Saquon Barkley, was the MVP of this game for the New York Giants. As a matter of fact, let me rephrase that. He was the MVP of this game. Saquon Barkley had a great performance, but the main star player who won the game for the Giants was Daniel Jones. I mean, the dude came out and flat out balled. Meanwhile, you look at Kirk Cousins on the other hand, he had an okay game, but once again, Kirk Cousins' unwillingness to push the football downfield cost the Vikings this game. It's a 4th and long. Why the hell are you throwing a check down to the running back? Well, to the tight end. That made no sense. No sense. And that isn't one of the first instances that we've seen Kirk Cousins doing that. Kirk Cousins has been a check down machine all year long. If the dude were to wait a couple of more seconds, he will have guys open downfield. Kirk Cousins, it's time for the Minnesota Vikings to start looking for his replacement. Now, I'm not saying that they need to trade up and draft somebody in the draft or they need to go out and get Derek Carr. I'm just saying that they need to start looking at what their future is going to be at quarterback post Kirk Cousins right now. Because eventually, Kirk Cousins' contract is going to be up. You're going to have to come to a decision with him. Do you give him a new deal? Do you let him walk away? Bring in somebody else at quarterback? For Minnesota, you have a chance at being able to get Hendon Hooker in the NFL draft coming up. He's a first-round caliber quarterback, but he's dealing with an ACL injury. So he's most likely going to fall into round 2 or 3. If you're Minnesota, if you can find a way to grab him, I think you could be set at quarterback for the foreseeable future. He doesn't have to play right away. You can still start Kirk Cousins for one more season. And then after this season is up, you can end up moving on from Kirk and starting Hendon Hooker or whoever else. I just think that it's time for the Minnesota Vikings to start searching for their future at quarterback after Kirk Cousins. You look at Wink Martindale. The job that he did in this game against Kevin O Connell's offense was phenomenal. And it goes right back to what I was saying earlier about how the New York Giants just coach circles around the Minnesota Vikings. Wink Martindale's defense got shredded by Justin Jefferson in their first matchup. They held him to 7 receptions for 47 receiving yards in this game. I mean, they didn't let Justin Jefferson do too much of anything. They were not going to allow Justin Jefferson to kill them like how they did in the last game. TJ Hawkinson, he balled out, but if you're Brian Dable, Wink Martindale, you can live with that. You can live with TJ Hawkinson carving you up. As long as Justin Jefferson doesn't eat you up, you're good. Saquon Barkley made some big plays for the New York Giants, not just on the ground, but also in the passing game as well. He had a touchdown in the end zone where he ended up getting met by a defensive tackle in the backfield and literally dragged the dude a couple of yards for the score. I was like, damn. Okay, I see what they be saying about Saquon Barkley when it comes to the power that he has. And not just that, but there were a lot of big plays that Saquon Barkley made, catching the ball out of the backfield. And the Minnesota Vikings, you look at their linebackers, I was just like, bro, y'all really this slow? Eric Kendricks, there were several times when I felt like Eric Kendricks could have made the play on Saquon Barkley, but it seemed like the dude was just too slow. Oh, it just looked like a complete mismatch out there when you compare the Minnesota Vikings coaching staff to the New York Giants coaching staff. And yes, the Minnesota Vikings were the more talented team going into this game by landslide. You look at the defenses, okay, that's some debate there. But offensively, Minnesota was way better than the New York Giants. You want to know how a team who ends up being an underdog ends up winning? You want to know how a team who, despite not being the most talented, ends up pulling off the upset on the road, being better coached, being better situationally, and being able to execute in the biggest moments? The Minnesota Vikings, in the biggest moments of this game, they didn't do anything. They couldn't keep drives alive on third down. I mean, Wink Martindale, you have to give him a lot of credit for the game plan he came up with for the New York Giants. And the New York Giants, you can see why there were a good amount of people who were high on them and picked them to win this game. This wasn't an upset in too many people's eyes because most people expected the Giants to win this game. They were better situationally. This is a defense that all season long, yeah, they may not be the most talented. Their defensive line is amongst the best in the NFL, but outside of that, you don't really have too much to work with. You have a couple of guys in your secondary, but not too much. But despite not being the most talented, this team is phenomenal at playing situational football. They can get you off the field on third down, and they can stop you in the red zone. Something that Minnesota was unable to do, and it was a large reason why they lost this game. They couldn't get the New York Giants off the field on third down. It seemed like the New York Giants could do no wrong when they got into third down situations. Daniel Jones was just too much of a beast for this Minnesota Vikings defense to handle. Imagine saying that. Imagine me telling you that after this game, I would say that the Giants won this game because the Vikings defense couldn't slow down Daniel Jones. Imagine me telling you that before this game started that Daniel Jones was going to be the star player for the Giants in this win. Giants 31, Minnesota Vikings 24. The New York Giants advance to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. You have to give a lot of credit to Brian Daboll, the job he's done. He once again has proven to everybody why he deserves to win NFL Coach of the Year honors.